Good afternoon. I'm Liz Powell. I'm the founder of Women's Health Advocates and the founder of G2G Consulting, which stands for Government to Growth. I'm a lobbyist based in Washington, D.C. And every month we get to come together and talk about what is going on in women's health policy and what are the advocacy pushes we are working on. We are super excited to talk about the most recent Women's Health Capitol Hill Day that we just did 2 weeks ago now. It was the second annual Women's Health Capitol Hill Day. We launched the first one in 2025. So we want to share some photos and some insights from that. We have a very special guest speaker today, Dr. Nashley Harrigan. And I'm going to introduce her in a moment here. And then we're going to share some updates, legislative updates, advocacy updates, and then ways for you to get involved. So first, let's talk about our second annual Capitol Hill Day. So we started off this year with a reception the night before. We had a bunch of advocates come to town early for the special Illuminators Conference that was a half-day conference. And then that night we had this reception. We had Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne and Congresswoman Judy Chu give remarks. And Van Dyne focused on her breast cancer scare and the journey that women go through and her legislation to ensure that women get access to early screening. And then Congresswoman Chu focused on research in women's health and addressing getting more funding and addressing gaps in women's health research. And then we also got a great photo with Senator Collins, Susan Collins, who is the chair of the Appropriations Committee. And as many of you might remember, we did a lunch with her last year. And she was super excited about her Wonder Woman cuffs, if you can see them. And we got a great picture with her. Next slide, please. We also, more photos from that reception. As you can see, lots of advocates from everywhere. We had about 25 different states represented among our advocates, which was great. And a lot of positive energy from that night that fed into the next day that was our Hill Day. So next slide, please. This is us on our Hill Day. We got a great picture of everyone, or most everyone. I think we might have missed a few, but everyone's in their shirts. A lot of people are in their shirts, which was great. And I did get them loud and clear. We need to order more shirts, so I will work on that. Next slide, please. We did a congressional briefing in the middle of the day, and then we had meetings both before and after. So you can see our amazing speakers. Really appreciate our speakers coming to town, sharing your expertise and insights. I think everyone was super impressed, and it was very energizing to be in that room. So next slide, please. A few more pictures from the meetings, from us getting our picture in front of the steps. Amazing. We saw different senators like Senator Tammy Duckworth, Senator Durbin. We also saw Senator Capito earlier in the day. So we saw several folks. I understand Congressman Schweikert spent a lot of time with folks as well from Arizona. So there was a lot of interest. I think throughout the day, there was over a dozen different members of Congress themselves who came and spoke, participated with us, met with us, etc. So that was great. Next slide, please. Again, more slides with everyone. You can see Senator Patty Murray as in the bottom middle photo from Washington. And then you can see our advocates in various different meetings with staff. And then you can see our brand new bag, our tote bag that Kavita Buchnight designed with her team with Match Health Collective. They did a great job, and a lot of people are super excited about our new tote bag. So that was great. And then we had a couple of congresswomen I wanted to highlight, Congresswoman Kelly Morrison from Minnesota and Yasamin Ansari from Arizona. They both did a great job sharing insights. And then we also had Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur of Ohio. Next slide, please. A few more pictures here. Oh, so there you can see in the green suit in the middle, that's Congresswoman Kaptur. And you can see Congresswoman Ansari, more of our advocates. You see Congresswoman bottom left, Congresswoman Deborah Ross of North Carolina, along with Sheila, Chad, and me. You can see Katie over there on the far left is giving a little lesson to Senator Murray on how to use the Aura app with the Aura ring, which was kind of fun. She was very interested in that. And in our meeting with the senator, she basically was like, yes to everything. What more can I do? Another meeting that I was in with Congressman Schakowsky, she kept asking Sarah the same thing. What can I do? What can I do? So there was definitely a lot of interest and engagement from the day. So next slide, please. Okay, final slides. We had special guest speaker Anna Jeter with AOADX talk about their report that found $100 billion in ROIs in women's health over the past 25 years, with 50% of that in just the past 5 years, because most people still think of women's health as a niche, but is actually a huge financial opportunity, in addition to, addressing a few gaps that we're all facing. So she did a great job of explaining all that. And then you can see more pictures with the group. You can see the room was packed. Everyone was standing in the back. So we had a nice turnout, a lot of staff, which was great. Next slide, please. I think and then the final night, a lot of people had to leave town, but I think about 40 of us got to have dinner together, and it was wonderful. I really enjoyed talking with everyone, spending time with folks. And we went around the room at the very end and all said one word that we're feeling after this experience. And that was really moving. I loved hearing everyone's words and just really connecting with folks. So those are the slides of the photos, and there's many more. I tried to put a slideshow together in a LinkedIn post so folks can see. So that was the day. So that's an overview. So what I'd love to do is to have Dr. Harrigan Nash share her background and experience of being an advocate, because I think it's super helpful to hear from other people, not me. So Nash is an ER physician. She's the co-founder of HSAG. You can explain what that is, but would love to start out. And I'm sorry, a member of our steering committee. Very, very important. I should say that, yes. So would love to start out, Nash, if you could just give us your background.
So, hi, everyone. I am Nashley Harrigan. I am a co-founder of HSAG, which is a women's health consulting firm. I am an emergency medicine physician in New York City, probably worked in almost every little borough, but mostly in the Bronx, in telehealth medicine. I joined the steering committee in January because my dear friend Erin Kate called me over the holiday break and was like, "This group is amazing. You have to come and join it." And after doing some deep diving, I was like, "Yep, this is exactly where I need to be." So I'm here. And I am one of the biggest women's health advocates who's been on her own little podium trying to raise, the flag to say, hey, we are missing so many women that come into the emergency room, that come to seek care. And there's such a big gap when they leave the ER and their follow-up care that, we're just completely missing. So I was more than happy to join a group of over 100 people to sit here and start knocking on doors to be like, hey, we need to start changing some of these policies to help catch these women that are just falling through the gaps. Hey, everyone,
yeah.
I'm back.
So tell us more about what are some of the women's health gaps, or maybe just some examples that you see as an ER physician. I think that would be illuminating for people.
I'm just glad this is not, hey, is the ER just the question? um, so I'm actually going to start with a story. And one of the things that really made me jump into the women's health space was I came into my shift. This is we were talking to ER in the Bronx. It was, we had a 6-hour wait. And the first thing I did was go see my first patient. And she said, don't let me die. And what happened was she was having a miscarriage. She had no prenatal care. She couldn't get in with her OBGYN to even do a follow-up. It looked like she had an ectopic and was just pouring out blood. And what made this case worse than most of all the other cases is the fact that at the time we didn't have an functioning OB department, and we couldn't get the supply. We couldn't get the medications. We couldn't get them to open the OR. And I spent over 6 hours getting every specialist, every specialty, everybody to open this OR to save this lady's life. And that was one of the days that I was like, something is wrong with the way we're doing this, completely doing this. women coming in on a regular basis just to get transfusions because they can't get into their OBs. And it has nothing to do with the fact that, nothing against my OB friends, but more just to access. They don't have the insurance to go, or when they try, the availability is 6 months from now or in a year from now, and they have a problem today. So they're coming in just for their regular transfusions, and this is how they treat their endometriosis, or this is how they treat their fibroids and their heavy menses. And this is not what women should have to go through at all. I delivered
Wow.
over 15, maybe 20 babies in the ER, and more than half of them did not have any type of OB care.
Huh.
Just coming in and delivering. And when you ask and you start trying to deep dive on what happened, some of them, they have a great fear of going to the doctor, but a lot of them just could not get in or didn't have access and didn't know what else to do.
Mm.
So this is what we're seeing in the ER right now.
Yeah. Crazy. So with that experience, and that's just one of, I'm sure, many stories that you have, many things that you see, how does that connect to advocacy and like coming to Washington?
Well, I tried it the other way and I don't think it was working, right?
Yeah.
So you can go up the chain of ladder at your own hospital, and then you notice that you're a team of one. So not only like joining the women's health advocacy is like the one of the best things ever, but also just finding like-minded people that are also going to keep advocating and knocking on Congress's door to change some of these rules. And one of the things that I noticed with this group is I come in with a very medical linear thinking, and having people from different backgrounds to add to this changes not only your perspective of how to fight, but the way you fight. And the reason why I say this is in our group, I'm part of the New York cohort. You have people who do PR work. And it never occurred to me the amount of public PR that has to go in to try to change some of these policies, right? You have lawyers who help make the policies. You have different clinicians or practitioners that are coming in with different perspectives. I'm coming in as an ER doctor, but the nurse that's there after all the procedures has something to say, or the patient. A lot of the women health advocates now are just patients who just fell through themselves through the cracks and want to be heard. And you could go on the podium by yourself, but it's so much more powerful bipartisan group, having a group of women collectively saying, this is where we are and this is where we're going. It's powerful.
Yes.
It's so
Yes.
powerful.
Totally. Totally. Can you share maybe what one experience from the day, like what was the meeting like for you, being in, meeting with staff or one of those experiences?
So one of the things I said, because I've done this before, I've done this like, knocking on doors before. And I literally, right before we walked in, I said, I have never sat down with an actual like representative. It's usually a staff member. It's usually you drop off. And as we're saying this, and I was a group with Lisa McDonald and Marie Capozzi and Abigail, and we walked into Representative Lattimore's office. He came in. He sat
Nice.
down. We had a one-on-one conversation about menopause. He gave us directives and steps on how to get from point A to point B. He told us who to contact. He gave us multiple avenues, and he also gave us avenues not just on a federal level, but how to do it locally. He was like, this is the Department of Health that you need to contact because this will get done so much faster than going through the federal level. He gave
Nice.
us federal and state directives on how to start trying to pass some of these like menopause laws. We had such a great conversation. We laughed like, okay, guys, let's make sure that he does the commercial. Let's send him our talking points. Let's send him like, we are right now currently trying to build this whole campaign to try to change what Westchester and that whole area in the Bronx are going to try to attack the way we do menopause. And you literally have an exact voice on how this is
Yeah.
done and how this is created.
That's
You couldn't
awesome.
ask for more. You could not ask for more.
That is so great. I love hearing that. And, just to double tap, it was a man. It was a
A
male
man.
member of Congress
It
who
was a
just
man.
wanted to hear, wanted to help. Let's talk menopause. That's awesome. That's exactly what we need. So I
And
love to
not
hear
only
that.
that, he said, One of the pointers that he gave out is just like, I definitely want to be the face, but he also gave us both male, female, both Republican and Democratic representatives to speak to,
Yes,
because he realized that without both sides and both genders, this will not get passed. So this it was so invaluable because it wasn't just a here are my two people, this. I mean, he gave us a whole list of directives to go and do.
that is awesome. I love, love, love that. And absolutely bipartisan. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, one of the follow-ups that we have for the Capitol Hill Day is to send those thank you notes. And in those thank you notes, we talk about members being able to take action as a result of meeting with all of our advocates. And one of them is to recognize Equal Research Day, which is on June 10th. And that's something I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But that's a great action the member can take. They can do a floor speech. It doesn't take that much work. It's not passing a bill, but it is definitely elevating the issue. So it's a nice tie-in to for those of you who had meetings like that where you really connected and it felt like there was action to follow. That's one example. But the menopause legislation, definitely we could work with him on that. I love the tips he gave on the state, because a lot of times the congressional folks are like, oh no, go talk to your state for that. But the fact that he jumped in is awesome. That's really cool.
Oh, no, it was great. And I mean, he went all the way down to local public health administrators and like who else to talk to. So it was every level to try to get this back. Like I said, it was
That's
very
cool.
invaluable. So this is
Awesome.
great.
Okay, so any final advice or words for those that are still like, I'm kind of watching women's health advocates. I don't know if I'm going to come be an advocate yet. Like, any final thoughts for them?
I would say come join. I have done, like I said, I've done a couple of these. I've knocked on a couple of doors in different groups, and I have never seen a group move so fast. And the train is moving. It's not about just coming to meetings and shuffling papers. We have action, we have legislation, we have this train is moving. New York itself did an advocacy day about 2, 3 months or 2, 3 weeks earlier than
Yeah.
the second annual. There are several groups in all different states that are doing almost the exact thing. You're always going to find a friend or someone that's going to the conference that you're in. You're always going to have support. We're always trading. Hey, I'm going to go speak here. Hey, I have this book coming out. Hey, this is my organization. Come in and meet. You're going to have that support that's going to help elevate not only your organization, not only your mission, but also your voice. So come join us. Joining the Women's Health Advocacy is free, but beyond just that, come join us on the steering committee. You get to actually have a say on what we do, where we're going, and I guarantee you guys, it's awesome. Come.
Aw, that was perfect. Thank you so much. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much for your
You're
wisdom, your
welcome.
insights, your all that you're doing to help women as a physician and then as an advocate. It's huge. So thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yes.
Bye.
All right.
I'll still be.
You're still on. Okay, good. We're gonna go through some more slides. We got some updates to share. Um, so we keep growing as an organization. We keep getting more and more signups. We get more and more letters to Congress. 3,600 letters to Congress. That's huge. And basically a year to have that many letters from all of you is amazing. So thank you for doing all those letters. Our steering committee keeps growing. We're getting company sponsors. Would help on getting more company sponsors. We've done these congressional briefings now, 6 of them. We continue to be in all 50 states, which is good, 27 countries. We want to keep growing the states, though, keep getting more involved. And as someone who sees these come in, every week we're getting more and more people signing up. We also are getting some unsubscribers, though. So, that's naturally going to happen. But we're working on that. And then we're getting more LinkedIn followers, well over 5,000 at this point. Instagram keeps growing. And then we keep doing events across the country and more to come in that area. Next slide, please. And our legislative efforts. So there are over 200 bills pending right now in Congress that are touching women's health. They range from breastfeeding to rural obstetrics, IVF access, coverage, reproductive health, abortion, telehealth, maternal health, midwives, miscarriages, even mifepristone access issues through telehealth. For specific conditions, there's breast cancer. As you know, there's over a dozen breast cancer bills that we are actively supporting. Our number one is Find It Early Act, because that is the most comprehensive coverage of early screening for women. Gynecological cancers, women's heart health. There was a new bill recently on women's heart health specifically, which is pretty exciting. Premenstrual dysphoric disorder, menopause, hormones broadly, fibroids, pain management, PCOS, although it's now PMOS, and endometriosis. So a lot of different conditions are being addressed through legislation. And, sometimes it's a resolution that just raises awareness about it. Other times it's specific funds for research, care, access, that type of thing. And then lastly, we are seeing, I saw one bill on clinical trial participation, which is something we feel very strongly about. We're always working on childcare, medical leave, human trafficking, and there's even more topics. But that gives you an overview of what's happening in Congress. And I like to share this because I want you to see that there's real interest in women's health. I think 10 years ago, we would never see this many bills, never. So there's a lot of momentum. And I think our voice is having an impact in driving more interest, attention, and action in the women's health space. So hats off to all of you. Next slide, please. And our lobbying efforts. So the FDA funding measure has moved through the House committee and is heading to the floor. And it includes our Women's Health Innovation Pilot, or what we were nicknaming Pilot X, but that is included in the bill. So we're really excited. The Senate has not done their work. They were going to do it this week, but they've now delayed it to the end of the month. So we are going to keep pushing the Senate folks to see if they will also include this new pilot and include some funding for it, because that always makes it better, or it'll move faster if we can get some funding attached to it. So we're working on that. For Health and Human Services, as you can see, there's several different requests pending, and the markup is coming up very soon for the House. And I'm sorry, markup just means they consider the bill in the committee. So that is happening fairly quickly in the House. And again, we don't have dates for Senate. So there's a thing in here from reimbursement parity and endometriosis excision procedure to menopause research funding, menopause medical school education requirement, this $200 million interdisciplinary fund that's across all the 27 NIH institutes and centers, and then the $115 million for the Office of Research on Women's Health, which would be about an 8% increase. And remember, this group helped get the $30 million increase for the Office of Research on Women's Health last year. So those are our health requests. And then in defense, there's a nice women's warfighter readiness and health account that we're trying to get increased funding for. So those are the appropriation efforts we're working on. And why do we focus so much on appropriations? Because appropriations have to get done every year. And Ashley talked about the train that's moving. That is appropriations. It has to move every year. So since it's already going, it's great to jump on and insert language in funding lines. And it's also faster action. If you'll remember things like the 21st Century Cures Act, it took years to get, and we still can't get the 2.0 version, which has been reintroduced in several Congresses now. So it can take a long time to do those bigger authorization bills. And we don't neglect those. We definitely support those, but we want to be active and action oriented. And so that's why we get super engaged in the appropriations process. So, next slide, please. Ways to get involved. I know you're all excited to do that. So Equal Research Day, thanks to Evie taking the lead in this public awareness campaign. Every post that happens on Instagram on June 10th will result in additional dollar donated to the Foundation for Women's Health. So this is a great opportunity. The organization run by Katie Falco does all the women's health research initiatives and is always looking to invest dollars in the most efficient way with the biggest bang for our buck. So it's a great organization. It will help fund that group, but it will also elevate these issues in women's health research gaps. And so we want to get engaged. We want to all post on June 10th and make sure we're using the right hashtag. But we also want to send letters to members of Congress to get them to do floor speeches. If we could get a number of members, they're called special orders, to do these floor speeches, we will really elevate the issue. And we'll compile them all together to share with everyone. I think that would be a great, easy step they can take after our Capitol Hill Day, after meeting with all of our advocates. And so that's what we are promoting now. So we have a letter in our right to Congress webpage where you can just select it and put in your address. It will pop up, and you can personalize it and say, I was just on Capitol Hill talking about menopause, or whatever moves you to be active in the women's health space. But the gist is, we've had not since 1993 did we require women and people of color to be in our clinical trials or clinical studies. And so there are decisions made today based on data that only on men and mostly white men. So there are gaps in care, and that's part of the reason that adverse drug events are twice as common in women in 19 of the 20 FAERS categories that are tracked by FDA. So there's a huge problem here, and a lot of it goes back to this gap. So the other item is the sex as a biological variable was also became the requirement in 2016 for NIH studies, and then for DoD studies and research in just last year in 2025, in August 2025. So that requires any study to just consider sex as a biological variable. However, we're still having gaps there. It's only in 61% of NIH studies is it actually happening. And among those, only 44% are they even using sex aggregated data. So there's still lots of problems when people aren't considering the fact that the sex differences go down to the cellular level, and we really need this data. So we sent out messages to all our advocates who were with us on Capitol Hill with messaging and what to send into the staff that you met with to ask them to get involved in this effort. And then we also have the letter with all the information on our website. Next slide, please. Other letters to Congress that we're working on are supporting our appropriations requests and co-sponsor and pass the Find It Early Act. So you can see the link there to send in letters. Next slide, please. We also have My Vote Our Health coming up. We did the first one on April 23rd. Thanks to Mitzi, who's really led the effort in getting this going. Our next one, June 25th, and Mitzi and I both will be moderating. We're going to have 2 panels, and we have an amazing lineup of speakers we are going to announce next week. So please register for My Vote Our Health. It's a really important effort to educate on these key women's health issues, policy gaps, and the importance of voting in the midterm elections to shape that. Next slide, please. You can become a leader in women's health advocates by joining one of our committees. We have all these different health condition committees, and then we have an FDA committee and a reimbursement committee. So our leaders are doing a fantastic job. They're planning these regular calls to get engaged and to make a difference in these areas. Next slide, please. We have the regional committees, a bunch of cities, states across the country. So welcome, you're getting involved there. Next slide, please. So in our newsletter, we list the links so that you can dial in and join these efforts. So please look at our newsletter. We just sent it out yesterday. There'll be another one next week. And then we also on WhatsApp will post upcoming calls as well. Leaders are usually really good about that, so that over one medium, you won't miss it. You will be able to get your chance to participate. And then we have our quarterly Women's Health Advocates Leaders Call that are for those who are leading a committee on June 17th at 12. So I sent a calendar invite to all our leaders, but let me know if I missed you somehow. We have some exciting information to share, including a new Women's Health Advocates State House how-to guide that Lisa McDonald, Griffin Tullis, and others have worked on. And so I think that's going to be really helpful going forward. Next slide, please. Take my time. You could join our steering committee. You can join as an individual or through our company, and DAFs are warmly welcomed. Thanks to our partnership with Catalytic Impact Foundation, people can use their donor advised funds to contribute. Next slide, please. Also note on June 10th, so next Wednesday at noon, is our monthly Breast Cancer Early Detection Coalition call. We will have a special guest, Eliza Friedlander, who's an spirit, one of our advocates who was with us on Capitol Hill Day. She'll share her journey and her great advice about how to make an impact. She's quite the expert in communication, so it's going to be awesome. Next slide, please. I think we're done. These are our sponsors. I always want to thank our sponsors. Really appreciate all your support and making our Hills Day possible and so much of what we do possible. And we always invite more people to join. So if you're at all interested, let me know. Next slide, please. And our voices are power. Let's make it count. Keep that in mind. So we are going to transition to our steering committee call. So thank you all for dialing in. I really appreciate you. You are change makers, making a difference and making sure women's health is a priority. Thank you so much. Bye.